Hi, everyone. Just welcome to the session. Just give me a couple of minutes. We're just going to see if there's any more attendees that are going to join, and then I'll make a start. My name's Abdul Chohan. I'm going to be your host for this particular session on Showbie, and looking at some of the new features that are involved in using Showbie, and looking at the possibilities within the classroom environment. So just give me one more minute and then we can make a start. Okay, I've got my chat window open as well. I'm going to make a start, and then where people kind of want to have put a question in there or ask any questions, just feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll make sure that I'm keeping an eye on that. Okay, so let's just kind of start off. You should be able to see my screen here. We're going to kind of start off. So this particular session is very much about looking at new features within Showbie. And we're also going to look at setup and the possibilities with setup as well. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Abdul Chohan. I'm the VP of Learning at Showbie. I'm an educator originally based in the UK since 1998. I was a former principal of a high school here as well. I have also founded my own school here in the UK. As part of the UK government's free schools program. And I also, before the pandemic, was a frequent traveler with a variety of different kind of schools and organizations, and supporting them in terms of, assessment, feedback, and school improvement. And I've had the privilege of meeting some amazing educators from many different parts of the world. Okay, so let's just introduce Showbie a little bit in terms of understanding what Showbie is. Showbie is a hybrid learning platform. It is used by over 3 million educators around the world. It is primarily focused on delivering feedback in a very easy way, and it delivers rich, personalized feedback to students of all abilities on any device as well. And we're going to explore some of the features that are around this. So let's have a look at what we're going to cover. We're going to cover getting started, ensuring what is it that we need to kind of get started. We're going to have a section on being prepared before school starts, and making sure year on year, making new classes and understanding what that looks like. We're also going to have a little bit of an understanding around marking and assessment, and also how Showbie works with other apps as well. So, and finally, we will kind of look at some new features that Showbie has launched. So let's just kind of move over and continue with a bit of a demonstration in terms of what this looks like. So I think I'd like to kind of start off just by kind of going into a new window here on Chrome, and on any browser, you can very simply go to www.showbie.com, and when you do that, it will take you to the Showbie website. Showbie does have an app as well on iOS, so you can download the app and use it on the iPad. that does kind of make use of the camera and some other iPad features as well. However, you can use it on any device. You can use it on a Chromebook. You can use it on a Surface laptop, and you can use it on any PC as well. So I'm simply going to the browser here, and I'm going to sign in. When I go to the sign in page, let me just kind of come out of here first and foremost and just show you some signing options. It's automatically signed me in. But one thing that's worthwhile noting is that you can actually sign in using Google, or if you're located in the Nordics or in Norway, Fader, or Microsoft as well. So if you're a school that is using cloud-based solutions, that single sign-on is kind of built in to Showbie, which is kind of really nice and very useful as well. So the hybrid learning platform is designed to make our jobs as teachers a little easier. It kind of reduces the workflow. It kind of definitely changes the way in which we kind of interact with teachers and so on, and with students. So how we interact with one another and how we interact with teachers and students, that can be significantly different. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like here as well. And again, you know, if there are questions, just drop it in the chat, and I'll try and cover that as we go along. So I'm not going to go through all the features, but I will kind of cover some of the main ones that are specifically useful for setting up a class and looking at some new features here as well. So if I just go onto here, when you've logged into Showbie, of course, we can see our classes on the left-hand side. So I'm logged in as a teacher, and on the left-hand side, I might have some general lessons that I do with classes. Maybe I've got a maths class, an English class, and you know, schools are using this from a primary school perspective, but people are also using this from a high school perspective as well. My background is as a chemistry teacher. We use this for many, many years in the classroom, but also, you know, I was able to kind of use this as middle leadership and senior leaders being able to kind of support teachers with this, because you can have multiple teachers joining one class as well. Okay, so let's just go into something. Let's just imagine that we've got our class set up, and these are all the subjects that I might be teaching, and these are all my classes. I've got my students to join my class. Now, getting students to join is pretty easy. The students would log into Showbie and they would click on join a class here, click on the wrench icon and join a class, and they would enter a code. Yeah. Now, it's easy to get a hold of a code because all I kind of need to do is, if I just go into a specific class, each class has its code, and I would just give this code out to the students, and they will then be able to join my class, which is kind of a pretty easy thing to do. So that's a simple setup. You don't need technicians, you don't need complicated service systems and all that kind of stuff. It's super easy. The teacher can just give the code to the students and they can join the class, and you're kind of good to go. It is simplified even more. If I go to class members, you can, so these are all the students in my class. You can see under the students tab in class members. If I was to click on get QR codes, this will allow me to kind of bulk export the QR codes for all these students. And what this is really good for is that, especially for young children, they get a QR code, they can just hold that up in front of their camera. As long as the camera can recognize a QR code, you're kind of good to go. They automatically join into the class. So it's super easy for them to do that. Some schools, the teachers kind of cut out the QR codes for their children and they stick it on their tables or on their books, or, you know, they keep a copy of it. And then if they ever want to join a Showbie class from another device anywhere else, they can do that as well. So it's very, very easy to kind of join just through QR codes and to kind of do bulk creation as well. So that's a little bit about getting started. Let's have a look at being prepared. So when we are being prepared, we want to be able to make sure that our classes are easily accessible. and you can name your classes in whichever way you want. So you can have them according to just the names like this, like geography GT or English block 1. And you can even add emojis as well, right? So for younger children, that's actually quite useful. And they can very easily kind of join a class and be able to kind of see they can kind of very easily see exactly what they need and so on. So simply, a lot of schools are kind of adding QR codes emojis, and the children kind of recognize that very, very easily. Okay, let's just go into a class. Let's go into this maths class, and you can see that in this scenario, that there is the option to add folders. Now, again, if you just click on the wrench icon, or the settings icon, whatever you decide to call this, you can add new folders here, and it's very simple. Click on it, choose a color, give it a name, and then when you save it, your folders will appear here. It's just a very nice way, an easy way of organizing assignments, and it's very simple for students to access that as well. You can also do some other things, which is quite interesting. So if I was to just kind of go into this particular folder and go into wrench, and if I go to folder settings, you see I've got an option to copy the folder. Now, this is particularly useful. If I was to do that, it's asking me which folders, or where do I want to put this folder? So if I'm creating a folder for Maths 2022 next year, I can copy that folder in there, and all my resources and everything from there and all my assignments will automatically copy over, which is actually really useful, because as teachers, we don't want to be duplicating resources time and again. We simply want to just kind of get in and be able to kind of use this effectively. So the ability to kind of duplicate folders is actually quite a useful thing. You can also do things like, this is a particular assignment on fractions, and then if I hover my mouse over it, I get these 3 dots. I can kind of edit this. I can lock it as well, so students can't actually add anything or see anything within there, which is really useful. I can also move this assignment anywhere else, which is kind of, again, quite a useful thing for teachers to be able to do. It just helps you kind of be prepared. And to create an assignment is super simple. If I just do new assignment, I can give it a name, and let's just say, if I just want to call this one fractions, not fractions, let's turn that to fractions, and 2, then here I can add a due date, which is dead easy. I can just click on that and add when the due date is going to be. Maybe I'm going to say it's going to be the 30th, right? Then what I can do is I can schedule things. So I can say I want it locked, and I want it locked until Friday. So I'm going to put things in there, but actually it's going to stay locked until Friday. And if I hit the save button, what you'll see is that the assignment is going to be locked. It's set to lock till September 24th. Then I can add to the schedule. Maybe I want to make it view only on the 25th. And if I save that, it's there. Look, it's added to the schedule. And then maybe I want to make it editable. So that's the pen icon. Maybe I'm going to do that on Sunday evening or Sunday at 4 p.m. Hit save, and now the students can start submitting things. So this assignment scheduling is actually quite powerful, because quite often teachers want to plan ahead. They don't necessarily want to students to access the resources immediately, but when you're sitting there for planning, you can very quickly plan for locking, unlocking, viewable, and maybe even lock it again afterwards. It's entirely up to you. So it's a very, very easy way to kind of schedule assignments, and it's not just making things available, but actually it's just it could be locking things, making them editable, and so on, which is actually quite useful. Okay, let's look at a couple of other things on here, which are really, really great, and really kind of helps from a marking and assessment perspective. So if I go into shared items here, so I'm in my class now, I'm in the assignment. What's really nice here is that in shared items, anything that I put in here, all the students can get. So as a teacher, I can see Sally, and this is all of Sally's workspace and her work that she's submitted. This is Erica. Sally cannot see Erica's work, and Erica cannot see Sally's work. Students cannot see each other's work, basically. But in shared items, I've got a document here, for example. If I wanted to just have a look at this, this fractions one, this normally I would have printed out so many copies, given that to all the students and so on. That would have taken a significant amount of time. But now, actually, I don't need to do that. I can just upload it here, and students will have access to that, which is really nice. It just saves me a heck of a lot of time. What I can also do is, if I just hit the done button, and if I just go to Sally here, what you'll notice is that, of course, students can upload work as well, and they can upload handwritten work. That might just be a photo that they've taken of their book and uploaded that, which is great. And also, what's quite nice here as well is that you can do things like upload screen recorded tutorials as well.
Today we are going to be solving a question about fractions. So our question is, a teacher asked 2 children to sort 73 tennis balls.
So this is, you're asking the students to upload video. This is done using an application called Explain Everything. And the students can record this, but the teachers can do this as well. If you're using iPad, Showbie also has this facility on iPad, because the iPad has, you know, the screen annotate. It's the ability to kind of record screen built into it. So Showbie makes use of that as well. But this is really powerful, right? Because students are speaking, they're explaining, they're showing their understanding.
One of the key informations are that there's a mixed number, and we have to write it in a mixed number. The rest of the key information is up there at the top. So first, I think we need to do 73 divided by 10. And 73 divided by 10.
And you get the idea. And actually, this is quite useful, because parents can see this, they're in a better position to support their children, and so on. And it becomes actually quite a useful thing to be able to do. Okay, let's just have a look at some work that the students submitted. Here we are. And this is work that, that Sally's done. And what's great here is the addition of these voice notes. So of course you can use annotation tools and write on here. You can use highlighters, there's an eraser, you would expect that. But there's these 2 boxes. This is like a text box that you can add text onto. So if I click on this and add that here, I get a text box, and I can just give feedback here very easily and save it and shrink it and move that over anywhere that I want. Now I could do this on any type of file, so that becomes really useful. I can do it over photographs, I can do it over PDFs, Word documents that are uploaded into Showbie. If you're using the Apple infrastructure, Pages, Keynote numbers, Excel sheets, PowerPoints, all that kind of stuff. And I can overlay these kind of text boxes anywhere on that document, which makes it really good for giving feedback. But what's also great is the ability to add voice notes. So if you see this circle that I'm moving around, if I just put this on the side and click on it, it expands. And if I press the play button, then, hey, this is really good, but I think that I need to see your working out. So you have 2 options, either show me your working out or record a. There you go. And to be able to do that, there's this voice option here. I just click on that, click anywhere else, and you can see the audio happens. I just hit the record button and I speak, and I can label that. Now, that is consistently a feature that school teachers that are using Showbie talk about and say this saves us a significant amount of time when it comes to feedback and marking. And I think that's something that is definitely worthwhile pointing out. What I will also mention is the ability, if I just go back, you may have heard of a tool called Socrative. So Socrative is actually an assessment tool, and Socrative is owned by Showbie, and therefore it's integrated into Showbie as well. So if I just go into this decimals assignment, and if I just go into shared items, and if I just go onto the plus icon here, you'll see there's this option. Those of you that might be familiar with Socrative, you can see the Socrative icon. I can click on the quiz button, and what this is now doing is it's picking up all the assessments that I've created in Socrative right here. Okay, so I could go into math, I could go on to something to do with, let's just say solving equations. And if I click on next, it now gives me the option to launch that quiz in 3 different ways, either through instant feedback or open navigation, which is like a self-paced approach, or teacher-paced. So I control the flow of the questions, how long the students see the questions, and so on. So this is kind of quite powerful. And it looks, once you've launched it, it does something, it does actually do something which is kind of, well, actually, I suppose pretty useful in many ways. It does allow you to kind of, if I just, there you go. If I just kind of show you this, here we are, if I just click on this. So what it does is I get to see the quiz happening in real time, right? So if at the moment it pops up like this, so I would be seeing this in real time. I'd be seeing these gray boxes suddenly appear as the students answering the question. So I'm beginning to see engagement levels. If I click on show names, don't worry about these names, they're all made up. If I switch that on, then I get to see which students are actually have engaged and submitted something and which ones haven't. I could actually just throw this up on a large screen. So that's the hybrid approach of Socrative. So if it goes up on a large screen, then actually students can see, that I can see, and everybody else can see who has submitted, who hasn't, without any embarrassment of what they've actually got right and wrong. But if I wasn't throwing it up on the screen, I could even switch on the responses, so I can see the responses, and I can go a step further and actually see the results as well. What's also really nice here from a teacher perspective is if I scroll down, it's giving me the percentage pass rate for each question. So for example, for question 3, I can see immediately that there's only a 44% pass rate, and maybe if I click on number 3, it shows me the question and it's telling me maybe this is something the students are struggling with, maybe I haven't taught it properly, maybe there's some misconceptions that I can address, which is a really important part of assessment and feedback, right? And the beauty about Socrative and its integration with Showbie is that it's real time, it's happening right there and then. I'm not necessarily having to take things home to mark and manually do this. It's right here. It doesn't stop there. There is the option where if I click on these 3 dots, it kind of allows me to distribute scores, right? So if I click on that, it will automatically put the scores in next to the students, which I can then export as a CSV file into a learning management system, and it can also distribute reports as well. So if I click on distribute reports, it will then, if I just go to Sally here, for example, you'll see that this report has automatically been distributed and it's popped up here. And again, what the nice thing about Showbie is that, you know, I can now annotate on top of this. So if I'm a bit dubious in thinking what Sally struggles with number 2 and she's actually got it right, and I actually want to see her understanding for this multiple choice question, then maybe I might add a voice note or ask Sally to add a voice note and explain her understanding of why she chose question 2. It's not just multiple choice as well, like there's true false questions, there's open-ended questions that you can add on to these quizzes as well. Although in this particular example, it does kind of show you, yeah, they're pretty much multi-choice in here. Actually here, look, there's a free text box one that's here as well, but then you can add true, false, and so on, which is kind of really great as well. The other thing that I will mention is quick marking. So for example, this is Sally's work. I can see her icon here. If I click on Sally's name, and if I then click on Helen, for example, right, it will just bring up the same page for Helen. Right, and I can see what Helen's done, and I can mark and give feedback. And if I want to see the next student, it will bring up Peter's work now as well. And I can quickly go through this and mark the same page for all the students. If I was to move to page 2, okay, then again, I can go back and it will just launch. Oh, hang on a minute. If I just move this to page 2, and if I then was to mark page 2 and I click on the next student, it will bring that up as well, and then I can give feedback. Where students haven't completed something, it will tell me that there's no documents to display. So that quick marking feature is quite useful. The quick marking feature doesn't just work with Socrative, it works with any document. So if you were to take a PowerPoint and you wanted students to annotate that and add voice notes to it and so on, and you uploaded that on Showbie, then it would make a version for each student, and you would be able to quick mark each of those and be able to give feedback as well, which is actually quite a useful thing to be able to do. Okay, I'm going to be conscious of time, and rather than kind of going through lots and lots of different things, I do want to kind of leave some time for people to be able to kind of answer questions as well. So if there are questions, again, I'm just going to remind you just to put them in the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to kind of answer those. Let's just have a look at what else we need to kind of cover here. Okay. Okay, so let's just have a look. Moving on, a couple of other things that might be worthwhile also knowing about is within Showbie, you also have, if I just go back, there's also a class discussion area. So in every class, so if I just come out and go into English here, there's class discussion at the top. If I go into maths here, there's class discussion at the top. And this class discussion piece is actually quite powerful because it allows all the students in the class to speak to one another. Okay, it allows them to communicate. As a teacher, you have overview of what's going on, which is actually quite powerful. I think that the ability to kind of do these things with quizzes and to kind of get a pulse check on learning is quite powerful. You know, you have the ability to kind of sort things according to date and time and so on as well, which is again quite useful as well. You will find that there's this little video chat icon that appears from time to time, but it's there actually in 3 different places. And when you click on that as a teacher, you have the ability to launch video chat and actually have a whole bunch of people on there. So if I was to start chat, up to 50 people in this class discussion would all jump on, and we would be having like a Zoom call and so on. But the great thing about this is that there actually is no need for students to send them links or anything like that, use passwords and login codes. The teacher is in control. It just pops up at the top here and they tap on it and they can join, and then teacher can end that as well. If we go back into our classes, let's just go into this our fractions class again. And if I was to click on Sally, then with individual students, I also have this video option. I can click on that and I can have a look at that, which becomes really kind of very useful as well. Okay, and finally, there is also a group section, and the group sections again is quite interesting because the group feature allows people to have an ad hoc kind of ad hoc way of kind of bringing people together, and it might just be a history field trip, and you're kind of, you know, having people getting them to have conversations about different things and so on. And it might be about questions about the field trip. It might be permission slips like this. You can add parents on, and you can add students on, and you can add teachers on in one group, or you can have any combination of those, just teachers and students. You can't have students on their own, which is great because then, you know, you still have an overview of what's going on in there, and you can have teachers and parents, right? So that's actually quite useful as well. Quite often, certainly during the pandemic, there was a lot of school teams that used to meet on here, and they'd use the video chat feature again in group discussion, and they just used to share it for information. And you can actually use it as an announcement tool as well. So only you can see what's going on, and nobody else. Only the people in the group can see what's going on, and only the people that you have given permissions to can make comments on here. For everybody else, it's just information. And again, the ability to just add a voice note on here is really useful. students and teachers, your colleagues can kind of just listen to that, which is quite powerful as well, and can save a significant amount of time. So lots of different examples of groups, parents' evenings, soccer teams, history field trip, and so on. I'm sure you could think of a lot more for different colleagues and so on as well, which is actually quite useful. Okay. So if I was to just show you some of the new features that have popped up, let me just go into English, for example. Actually, not English. Let me go back to our maths one, and let me just go inside our folder here. And if I was to just click on the wrench icon, and now you have something called Manage List. And when you go in there, the ability to kind of manage these is actually quite useful. So if I was to do fractions, for example, I can lock it, I can archive it, I can do a bunch of different things with this. And also, I can also, if I just hit the done button, you can actually, if I just go and do this again and just go to manage list, there is the possibility of kind of actually changing these to different folders and so on. And if you want to move them into different folders from one moving the assignments from one folder to the other, all that is absolutely possible as well. The other thing that's quite new as well is if I was to just go in again, if I was to go to, let's go to decimals here, and if I were going to the wrench icon, actually no, not here, come to the beginning of the class. And if I just go to overview, so let me just show you that again. So this is right at the beginning, and then you go into your first step into your class. Don't go into any folders, just go straight to the wrench icon, and there's something called overview. If I click on overview, this now again allows me to kind of have an overview of all the assignments. Most of these have not been completed, but the ones that have, I can see for every student what they've done, where they're up to, and so on. I can also use this button here to be able to download the data and export that as a CSV file. I can see it by assignments as well. So if I want to see just fractions, I get to see that, and so on, which is kind of a nice, neat way of having a look at this. Again, here as well, I can manage lists. And here I can reorder folders. I can put this in any order that I want. So the ability to move these folders around is actually quite a nice thing to be able to do. Okay, so if I was also to kind of mention, if I just go into manage lists again, okay, right, there we are. Okay, so those are kind of some of the key features that have popped up here. If you are looking to go even further with Showbie, then I would definitely recommend our Showbie Certified Educator program, which is actually quite a useful thing to be able to kind of go into. If I just go to Showbie Certified Educator, here we are. There's the link for it here. I'm just bringing that up. So this is quite a useful program. I'm just going to copy this and I'll put it in the chat in case anybody wants to kind of have a look at this. There are literally hundreds of certified educators now all over the world. It's a free program. If you are a Showbie Socrative user, then it's definitely worthwhile for you to have a look at this. There are a number of different modules where we've kind of focused on different things here, and you can certainly apply for that. And there's a whole bunch of people that are actually on here that have completed the Showbie Certified Educator program. And based on your region and where you are, you kind of get your photo and connection put on here as well. And it's great to be part of a community that's kind of sharing this hybrid learning experience. And that can be quite a useful thing to be able to look at as well. Okay, so let's just have a look at coming to an end now. We've looked at QR codes, we've looked at class copying, we've looked at assignment copying and scheduling as well. I think quick marking and how to do quick marking is something that's really useful. We've seen the voice notes and how that can be very, very useful for us. Explain everything again, you know, the introduction is quite a useful thing to be able to use. If you've not used that, definitely worthwhile looking at that, and it integrates into Showbie very easily. And of course, we've got Socrative integration as well. These are some of the fresh features. These are not coming soon now. They're already here. The ability to reorder and do these things. These are kind of quite useful. So I'm going to stop there. That's my email address. If you have any questions or anything, absolutely kind of, you know, feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to kind of go through this in some details as well. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to leave a couple of minutes just in case any of you have questions. And if you do, then please put it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining. I hope this was useful. It's not kind of like, you know, a total back to basics with Showbie. So if that was something that you wanted, like how do we use Showbie and so on, look out for our webinars. There are webinars that kind of talk about how we use Showbie and kind of basics. If you are from a school or an organization and all your teachers are interested, or your senior leadership is interested, and again, you can reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to kind of talk to your leadership team about the possibilities with this assessment feedback and the impact that these kinds of tools and technology in general can have on our organization as well. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop there, and hope you have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you may be. Thank you.